Check 1, 2. All right, so you heard me typing there for me. I don't know what happened, if I hit something or what, but you heard me typing there, and I'm just replying back to Blake, who I know is not going to call in. They always reply to each other, but unless they're right there and have nothing better to do, or they wait like they're doing, they don't ever reply to me. That's like, because I know that they know that I've got them. They don't want to make any comment one way or another about the fact that we're upset that Biden has pardoned his son. He's a lame duck. You know, it's that kind of thing. So he's got nothing else to do but reevaluate and just pardon his son. Who cares? Why do you care? Why? I got to put that in too. So my question is, why do you care? Joe Biden punished his son. Joe Biden pardoned his son. Joe Biden is done. He has been serving this country for as long as I've been alive. That's 53 years. Let him go. And I've investigated plenty of fraud cases with the IRS, tax cases, whatever you want to conjure up. And in this day and age, they all involved a laptop. They all involved drugs. They all involved a gun somewhere along the line. Do you want to know how many of them made it to the newspaper? 0. None of them. Because none of them had a dad that was running for president or was the president. None of them had a political enemy like Donald Trump, who's skilled in manipulating even our high-end media. That's the only reason Hunter Biden and his laptop and his gun and his addiction are in the newspaper or any other platform that calls themselves a journalist. Still no response from either of my Friday co-hosts. Oh, poor dog. So, yeah. The usual is what it is. They're not going to reply back now. Let's take a break. And then when we come back, morning motivation and Pierre's pot. And then by the end of that, we'll be talking with Jane Stahl at the top of the next hour. 99.1 WDJY, America One Radio, and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. You're going up the middle with the big dogs. See you right after this. I think. I switched the. Never mind. I've finally begun to reach out to my own listeners with Constant Contact. Use both my link and promo code CyberWeek24 and get 40% off your first 3 months. 40%. But more importantly, you'll have all the same benefits and tools that I do. All the same templates and all of the same success. So get my Constant Contact link where you get all of my links by going to yergs.com. You still have time to reach out to your contacts in time for the holidays. Go to yergs.com, click on my Constant Contact link, and use promo code CyberWeek24 for 40% off. Remember, you need both my link and the promo code CyberWeek24. Yergs and Constant Contact. We deliver success. I'm looking at my soundboard, and the channel that I have set aside for the phone system is bouncing up and down like a champ, and it should be dedicated to the phone system. And I'm wondering, did I screw that up? Because that was Microsoft on there. I changed a bunch of things around because of having added Chatter over the weekend. There's only a few certain things that Chatter can go on. One is Chrome, which is already my voice calls. Some of my voice calls. If you have kind of like my celebrity line, there's a few people that have that number, or I'll give it to somebody. And that'll come in on my Google Voice number. And then, so that's one browser that's open. The other phone system, which by the way, you can all use. I got to make this bigger. Which, by the way, you can all use 1-888-88 Yergs or 844-GAY LGBT. I got to put a plug in that. So my phone is the reason why we are connected to Chatter, even though I'm also on the desktop version. To use the desktop version, you have to connect via your phone version. And it's the same. You just log into the program twice, and you're good. You're good. But because my phone has to be sitting right here while I talk to all of you on Chatter via the. I think I got a reply. Well, I talk to you via the desktop version, and you're all talking back via the desktop version. You're on. Of course I'm on, you idiot. Of course I'm on, moron. These are my teammates. These are my teammates. I think it's the same one I sent them last week. Anyway, we might be having our Friday co-host on to argue. But anyway, you know what I forgot to do? I got to put this out to the community. That's another reason why I need to use my phone is because I guess that's all I do. I just put it out to the community, and the screen clears. I guess that's what happened. I'm going to manually send it to a bunch of folks I know. I can't put a message with it. All right, well. Hopefully we'll get somebody joining here quick. So yeah, it's BS. Hunter would not be getting a pardon if his dad wasn't the president. Hunter would also not be in the media with this issue if his dad wasn't the president. So who cares? And I just think it's kind of pathetic that this is what we're talking about. And before you go saying I'm some libtard or anything you want to say like that, I don't care. You have to sit back and realize we have more important things to talk about right now. We do. And if you don't see that, I can't help you. If you can't realize that this is stupid, this is crazy, even perhaps on an international level, it's embarrassing, maybe. I want to get on Clubhouse too, actually. I think I heard. I'm just going to go live there too. Check 1, 2. Yep, it's live. Okay, cool. Let's see if he's here. There we go. Yo, look at you Monday warrior.
Yeah.
So I get it. Hunter Biden would not be getting a pardon if Daddy wasn't president.
Well, I think you have to start way earlier than that, though.
Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't be in the news if Daddy wasn't president.
Well, okay, let's go back to the beginning, because here's my big problem with all of this. So all of this starts because Joe Biden is the vice president and a senator for forever, right? And his, like, you have to at least admit that his son and his brother and other family members have been trading in on their name for a long time. And certainly
because Jenna Bush would be on NBC or whatever network she's on if Daddy wasn't president.
That's not the same thing.
I followed her up the West Coast. I promise you, she's not bright. She's not a journalist.
Okay. Here's the thing that I don't want to do. I don't want to do this tit for tat thing where every time I say something negative about Joe Biden, you pick some other thing that's not the same thing. So, for example, here's the problem that I have with this. Okay. In Jenna Bush having a job at the Today Show with NBC, or Chelsea Clinton having a job with NBC. Chelsea
is great.
I think she's absolutely terrible on television. So, but forget that. It doesn't matter.
Want to be on television.
It doesn't matter. The point is, in those situations, why do you want someone with that name on your network?
Because it's name recognition.
Name recognition, which gets viewers, which is the whole point of having a television show, right? You want to have people on television that are engaging. Sometimes it's that they have a name. Sometimes it's that they're Stephanopoulos and they're on ABC and they have political
He made
clout.
a name for himself.
Okay, no, I'm not.
Stephanopoulos made a name for himself.
Well, I would argue that the daughters did too. So my point is that like they obviously
no.
But
No.
like, what's the benefit?
The twins are dumb as a stump.
Okay. I'm not talking about anyone's intelligence right now because I think that like you just like Ross,
be a journalist.
Ross, you just belittle people if you disagree with them sometimes politically.
No.
Okay. So here's the problem. Here's what I have. Here's the thing is NBC decided it was worth paying those daughters of presidents money to do a job. And if they did not perform it and they benefit nothing from it other than, okay, maybe we'll get eyeballs because people will watch these people, right? Because those people were not presidents anymore. They were not in power. George W. Bush was not in power when
Right.
Jenna got the job at NBC. Neither was Clinton.
He's the most popular Republican president going right now.
But they were not in power anymore when those people got those jobs. Okay. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Same thing with Stephanopoulos. Bill Clinton's not
right.
Or he might have gotten that job while Bill Clinton was still there. But I mean, the point is like he didn't work for him anymore. I think that was a little more shady in my opinion, because I think that you can't switch your hat from political advocate to journalist as quickly as people think you can. But
as quickly as Dan Bongino.
Well, I don't like that either. But I mean, that's different too. He doesn't work. He didn't get a president elected. He just worked for the Secret Service. I mean, it's not the same thing.
That's exactly worthy of trust and confidence.
So here's my point. You do agree that they were getting paid for, yeah, of course. If her last name's not Clinton and Jenna's isn't Bush, they're not probably getting those jobs. But that kind of goes with a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of that goes in. I don't mind nepotism in the sense that like you get your kid a job. That doesn't bother me. That happens all the time. People get their friends jobs, people get their family and their relatives jobs. But normally it's jobs that
it's networking.
But it's also jobs that they do. You would agree that Chelsea Clinton did her job and that Jenna Bush does her job and that these people do their job, right? Hunter Biden was put on the board of a Ukrainian oil company because his last name was Biden and his dad was the vice president of the United States.
You're leaving out a very important aspect of it or ingredient of it. What does Hunter Biden do for a living?
Well, he's
an international business attorney.
But he's not. He didn't do anything for them, and he didn't do that with all these companies. He did nothing other than.
I'm actually being scouted for boards right now.
Okay,
they don't want you on the board if you've already got a relationship with that company.
Are you arguing that Hunter Biden did a job for Burisma? Because as far as I can tell, there's no paper trail that says he ever did anything for them, other than he was the son of the sitting vice president when he took the job. When he took the board position.
You just said nepotism was okay.
Not if your dad is still the vice president. And by the way, NBC is not like NBC gets nothing out of hiring Jenna Bush Hager or Chelsea Clinton. What do they get? What do they get from that?
The name recognition.
Okay.
The context.
Okay.
Do you think that viewers, if some news item comes up about, say, Cheney endorsing Kamala Harris, you think if they wanted to go to former President Bush and say, hey, what do you think about, your vice president reaching across the aisle? Oh, wait a minute. You did too.
They're not going to have Jenna do that. I mean, here's the point. So my point is, you're saying they get a benefit of the name recognition. So what do you think Hunter's point was? The point is to have someone on the board whose dad is the vice president of the United States. That's a problem.
Well, do you think that his drug addiction just came out ever since Trump announced his presidency?
No, I think he's had drug addiction for a long time. I think he's clearly had drug problems for a very long time.
So you think that maybe getting this job with Burisma could be a step to get into some normalcy?
No, I don't think Burisma would. I don't think a Ukrainian oil company would hire the son of a sitting vice president who's a drug addict because they think he'll be good at the job. I think they did it because they wanted access to Joe Biden. And the truth is, Biden lied over and over and over again about the level of what he knew. First, it was like, I have nothing to do with it. I've never talked to them. Then it was like, well, I've had a couple dinners with people. I've had a few phone calls. It like every time that we revealed, the press revealed a lie that Biden told, the goalposts moved. So first it was, I have nothing to do with my son and brother's business. And then it was like, well, yes, I did. Or first it was, I knew nothing about it. Then it was, I had nothing to do with it. Then it was, I never talked to people. Then it was like, well, I did talk to people, but it was about the weather. My point is the story changes over and over again. And meanwhile, his brother and his son are getting paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. I assume the boards you're getting asked to be on aren't going to pay you millions of dollars. Just, I'm assuming, right?
I don't even know if I'm getting paid.
Yeah, that's my point. And so to think
my dad's not, I'm also not the vice president of the United States.
Of course. So I think there's clearly a pay to play thing there. And even if there wasn't, the look of it is bad. It is very bad. Just like it's bad, I agree, for Jared Kushner to accept $2 billion after Trump leaves office from the Saudis for his investment firm.
Even though that was all, but that was all orchestrated while he was still in office.
But at least it's an actual business that's an investment firm. Like Hunter Biden has
not seen anything. There's been no returns on that at all.
I don't know. I have no idea.
So talk about pay to play.
I wouldn't expect 4-year returns on that big of an investment anyway. But like the point is, I don't like that either.
It's not. It's 8. The next 4 years is where they're going to see the return.
But it was still it still happened after Trump had left office.
We're not talking about returning the $2 billion plus their share of profit.
I know, but here's my point: is that it is shady. If Trump had done this exact same thing, if Ivanka Trump, not Ivanka, that's his wife. Sorry, what is his daughter's name? Why do I get confused?
No, Ivanka.
That's his daughter. Okay, I get confused.
Yeah.
If she was on the board of a Ukrainian. If she was on the board of a Russian gas company, would you be okay with that right now?
But no, because she wasn't.
Why are you okay with it with Hunter?
I'm not. It's nepotism. I said that.
No, it's not nepotism. It's corruption. There's a difference. Nepotism is like, oh, I'm gonna hire my son. That's nepotism. Or I'm gonna get my son a job, or I'm gonna get my family member a job. This was the Ukrainian company wanted Hunter Biden to have access to Joe Biden. It's not nepotism. That is getting hired only because they want access to your dad. There's no other reason to hire him. He has no history in oil and gas. He has no interest in any, like, just because he's a lawyer doesn't mean that he can be on the board of a Ukraine. And by the way, that's the other thing that makes it incredibly shady.
Depends on what his role as the attorney is.
Yeah, but here's the other problem. All the other examples you brought up are American thing, other than Jared Kushner and the Saudis. I don't like the foreign investment stuff, which is why What?
And his dad,
well,
the prostitute hiring.
Well, yeah. I mean, his dad was a mess too. Yeah, but obviously
tampering.
Right, but what does that have to do with so what does that have to do with Hunter? So you agree that it's at least a bad look, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bad look. I think it looks corrupt.
I would rather have the bad look and now I'd be put to bed.
Okay, so we've got the bad look, and then he gets millions and millions and millions of dollars and doesn't pay any taxes on it. Okay?
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
No.
Okay.
But it's not okay for Elon Musk to do it either.
Elon Musk doesn't not pay his taxes.
Okay, stop.
No, look, Ross, here's the problem.
Loopholes.
No. Hold on. Here's the problem.
That's what they do.
You are equating using the tax code and using.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about money laundering.
No, what money?
Money.
What money laundering? Okay,
Talk to them in my neighborhood.
What money laundering has Elon Musk done?
I'd go arrest them myself.
Okay, so quit accusing people of stuff that you don't have any facts based on it.
No,
you did. You just accused Elon Musk of money laundering.
How much does he make?
I don't know. He's a billionaire. It changes every day.
His actual value is already in the hundreds of billions.
Right.
So if he's paying 30% like I am.
Well, that's not how that works because it's not all cash.
See, that's not how that works. Now all of a sudden it's not how that works.
No, because it's not how it works. The law
arguing about paying fair share.
Yergs, I'm not talking about fair share. I'm talking about the law. If a company or individual,
I was always talking about fair share.
No, I'm not talking about fair share. I'm talking about the law.
It's my show.
Oh, I know, but like, are we talking about
fair share?
But I'm talking about law. The law, first of all, Congress can change that anytime they want. They complain all the time about
No,
billionaires not
because
paying their fair share.
they would screw themselves too.
Okay, so we admit there's some hypocrisy in Congress. I mean, there's nothing new
A
there.
little.
Okay, here's the problem. You cannot say that like not like taking a deduction and not paying your taxes are not the same thing. The IRS will never go after someone for legally deducting things that they're allowed to by the law. That's not how it works. Okay. That is why you see these stories about Amazon didn't paid no income tax. Well,
I've got all kinds of accountants telling me that when you're a neighbor, you're not a friend here from the show, you're just my neighbor.
Yeah.
And you and I go to dinner. And I tell you about the show.
Yeah.
That's a business dinner.
Yeah.
And now I can deduct that that's not a business dinner.
But why would you not take advantage of the tax code that's there in front of you?
Because that's a lie.
It's not a lie if you actually do business.
If I actually do business, if I'm taking you, my neighbor, who has their own podcast, The Homeless Conservative.
Yeah.
Got to plug my boy here quick. Who has their own podcast, The Homeless Conservative. Where are you? Oh, my poor dog has a substance he's been dealing with. Did you hear that?
I did.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. That's fine if you choose to not do that. But
there you are. You're on the screen. Homeless Conservative. You're my next door neighbor, and I take you to dinner because we're just going to dinner. And maybe I've pitched you before to come on Yerg's Radio, which I have, and you still just want to be on YouTube. But I just say, hey, you know what? We just added another station. And you go, okay, that's great. How about the Bolts? Because I'm in Tampa, talk about the Bolts. Or talk about your Oklahoma City basketball team if we both lived in Oklahoma.
Well, they're doing better than my hockey team is right now.
And then that's it. We go back to talking about hockey and basketball and whatever else. And we never say anything about you being on Yerg's Radio.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I pay for the dinner.
Yeah.
And I write that off because it was a business expense.
Yeah.
Bullshit. That was a night out with my neighbor.
That's fine, but here's the problem
and
that I have with that.
These people are doing that on a bigger scale.
Then change the law. Change the law.
It already exists. You actually have to we have to schedule that
on my work schedule. You think that's how Amazon wrote off all their stuff was with business lunches with their neighbors that weren't like, it's not even a real thing that you're talking about. Stuff. Here's my point. Legally working within the law to avoid paying taxes. First of all, the reason we have those laws is to encourage investment back into the business. That's how Amazon.
And does that happen?
It does, absolutely. That's why Amazon has a fleet of vehicles and the best delivery stuff in the world.
If the investment that goes back to the business and this whole trickle down thing would be such a great thing.
I'm not talking about trickle down. No one said anything. Why
are we talking about the prices of mustard and butter and eggs and whatever the hell?
These are totally unrelated economic things, first of all. So I don't want to get into economics. Here's all I want to say is that Amazon or Elon Musk avoiding paying taxes by writing stuff off in ways that are legal is not the same as Hunter Biden just not paying any taxes on the millions of dollars.
You're missing a point. I'm not talking about him writing things off that are legal.
You've got no proof that anyone wrote anything off that wasn't illegal.
If I had proof, the IRS would already approve.
Okay, so that's my point: is that you're throwing accusations at people without any facts. The fact is, you've got to admit, Hunter Biden did not pay his taxes. He illegally avoided paying taxes because he paid $0 on I can't remember how many tens of millions of dollars. What?
He's not the only millionaire that's avoided paying taxes.
Of course,
he's not the only American citizen. I know a guy in my neighborhood here in rural Florida who hasn't even filed in 20 plus years.
Okay, so the IRS will probably come after him at some point, right?
No,
I mean, now,
because his
do we
dad
need more
is
enforcement?
Or Joe Biden.
Okay. Do you think that we should hold political people to a higher standard? Like if you're in power, do you think that the law should, I mean, I'm not saying we should apply the law differently to people in power, but do you think that we should hold them extra accountable? Because if you don't, it looks like corruption abounds and people lose trust in the
You
elite
mean
and the
like
government.
the president's conviction being delayed in sentencing, or a very good case against him for RICO?
Well, it's a little
In
tricky because he's
less
going to be the president again, and you can't prosecute a president. So
exactly. Why was he running in the first place?
because they didn't bring the charges in 2021 or 2022, they waited until the end of
Don't just bring
2023.
charges on a case you
Okay,
don't have
none of this
yet.
matters. Here's my point:
Yes, it does.
is what Hunter Biden did illegal?
Yes.
Okay, does the IRS go after other people for not paying their taxes? Yes.
Apparently not,
No,
because
they do.
somebody's going in there to change all that.
I promise you they do go after people. I'm still getting letters from my dead mother-in-law because she didn't pay her taxes, and it's a few $1,000s. It's not, and she's not she's not alive anymore. The IRS hadn't figured that out. The IRS probably is underfunded in the sense that they do need more enforcement. Like, I think that that's fairly fair. And it's ironic that Joe Biden's administration is the one that gave the IRS more funding to go after tax fraud. And this isn't even tax fraud. This is just not paying your taxes at all. Okay. What he did was illegal. Now, I will admit to you fully, and I've said this before, I think the gun charges on Hunter are 100%. They never bring that charge to anyone else. Like, I've not found an example of the federal government charging someone for lying about being a drug addict on the form to fill out for a background check to get a firearm. I agree.
It happens, but it's at such
I can't
more
find a
local
story.
level.
My point is, I can't find a news story.
Exactly.
Right.
Because they're not the primary charge.
And yeah,
And-
that's the other thing. Sorry. It's
and-
sometimes they do the charge, but it's like it's additional to all the other stuff. It's like a weapons charge and there's other stuff. That charge only happened
What
because
that
of
does is that now that he's got both a drug and a weapons conviction, it'll also prevent him from carrying a gun ever again.
right. But here's the problem. So I agree with that. That part is he only got that charge. But I also would argue that the reason he got those charges and the reason he went to trial foolishly is because he was getting a sweetheart deal from the DOJ because his last name was Biden in the first place. That original plea deal was ridiculous. It was basically saying not only is this cover these crimes, it covers all other crimes too that could potentially happen. And that's why the judge threw it out. She was like, I can't sign this. Like, you guys are agreeing that we can't prosecute him for any further crimes that like might have happened. And that's when it kind of all fell apart. I think that the DOJ, I think that there was, look, it's pretty obvious that Joe Biden, I get the position he's in the sense that it's his one remaining son. He lost Bo. He lost his wife. He lost another kid. He's had a lot of tragedy in his life. And I get it that you would want to cling as tight to that kid as possible. Now, I would argue that the way to do that would be to not run for president again and spend the time with your family and stuff. Obviously, we can't go back in time and change that. I think it's pretty clear that Joe Biden was willing to do anything to protect Hunter Biden. And my question would be, if you're willing to turn a blind eye to say, you know, the Burisma stuff and him getting paid millions of dollars and him not paying his taxes and his being a drug addict and all this kind of stuff, if you're trying to embrace that and like even just how much he had him around this summer, during like that was kind of his closest confidant, that's a problem. And I think it's pretty obvious that we're going to get information that shows that there was a top-down situation from Biden and the DOJ that said, you're going to take it easy on Hunter Biden. I think it was pretty clear that there was some sort of either understanding or something. I'm not saying it was an email that Joe Biden sent Merrick Garland, but to me, it's pretty obvious because they tried to do that plea deal. It fell apart. Then they're like, well, we kind of have to prosecute it now, or it is going to look like we only prosecute our enemies. And I think that's really where Hunter Biden got caught up in this, is that in the combination of the Trump stuff, I think if the Trump stuff wasn't going on, the Hunter Biden stuff wouldn't have happened. Does that make sense? Like, and to be fair to the Justice Department,
brought that on in the first place.
Well, I would say that the problem with the DOJ's stuff specific, actually, here's what I would say the problem is. The problem is New York. That case is a sham, and they went first because they wanted to be first. Alvin Bragg wanted to make a name for himself. He basically campaigned on this, and I think that put everyone else in really bad positions.
But you can't fault him for campaigning on something that he then gets elected for, because I promise you, no real New Yorker likes the Trumps.
I don't care. You can't campaign on locking up your political enemies. I think that is wrong. I think that's morally wrong. I think it's wrong on so many levels.
But it's all about articulation.
I don't care. I don't think
you campaigning about putting away somebody who's been politically corrupt for his entire time from a
I
family.
I don't think you ever campaign on that.
Politically
I
corrupt.
do not think you campaign on that. I think that is I think it is wrong. I think it is as wrong as Trump doing it.
What was the actual? You've said that before about him. What was the actual verbiage he's used?
It was tricky. It wasn't like I'm going to prosecute Trump. It was like,
Yeah.
but it was very clear what he was saying. I can't remember the actual verbiage, but it wasn't like a Freudian slip. It was like a thing he said fairly often on the campaign trail, and it was insinuating I'm going to go after Donald Trump. And I just don't like that. I don't like the idea. And so to me, that started the ball rolling, which started the DOJ's ball rolling, because then they realized, well, we got to get on this too. I think everyone's opinion in January of 2021 was, oh, well, this is bad enough that he'll just go away. I think that they were wrong about that in their assessment. And I think that because of that, they didn't start really investigating as soon as they should have. I think that they were distracted by other things. And I think that it came way too late.
Yeah, that's something I can agree easily. I think the entire criminal justice system was distracted collectively.
But you can't look
this whole thing.
Do you think it was the right call? Okay, so here's my question to you then, because you're defending this action. Do you think Joe Biden was wrong or right to promise to say, I'm not going to pardon him about his son?
I think it also looks crappy. But the other thing about,
because I would have said that's the right thing to say. Now, I didn't believe him. I called it. I said then he was lying.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that he tells that lie, and whatever handful of others,
he lies. Every
politician does,
as Trump does.
Oh, bull!
Yes, he does. He lies all the time.
Donald Trump in his first term alone lied more than 30,000 times.
Joe Biden lies all the time too. So does his administration. So does press secretary. He lies all the time, and he lies about much more important stuff. He lies about inflation,
where they had to keep a track and a record of all the BS he's been spreading.
That's fine. I'm not defending Trump.
30,000 times.
I'm not defending Trump. I'm saying Joe Biden is a liar. He lies all the time, and he does whatever benefits Joe Biden, just like Trump does. Anything that benefits Trump and nothing else. Okay, Joe Biden.
Being in politics.
No, it's not called being in politics. Pardoning your son from all crimes, every crime. Do you understand that this is not a strategic pardon? This is not, he's pardoned for this specific crime. He's been pardoned for every single crime he could have done from January 1st of 2014 to December 1st of 2024. Which, by the way, the only other sweeping pardon that's ever been given like that is to Richard Nixon. That's it. Those are the only two pardons ever that were like that. You can say
that's also the only ones that have been a direct relative or direct position to the White House.
Yeah, but I think we could talk about the Nixon one at length, I'm sure. But I mean, my opinion on that is that it was the right move because it moved the country beyond the scandal. This is not an election. This is not the president of the United States resigning. I do think that there would actually be. I think it would be good.
You spent the past however many minutes, how much time we got left for the first hour. You spent the past since you jumped on talking about a scandal. I've been saying that it's kind of a BS political move.
A scandal by the president's son.
Puts it to bed.
No. Look, if Joe Biden pardoned Donald Trump or Donald Trump,
you're doing the whataboutisms.
No, I'm not. It's not the same thing. I do think it would actually be a good thing for Joe Biden to pardon Donald Trump or Donald Trump to pardon Joe Biden. Like, I think that would be fine. I actually think that would have been the better move. 2 years. I mean, because look, the lawfare thing, whether it happened or not, that's the perception.
With regards to a pardon, and that's why I think this blanket pardon is gonna. You can't pardon someone who's not been found guilty of a crime.
Yes, you can, and he just did.
That's why I think it's going to be contested.
It will not. You can do preemptive pardons as long as you can't do them into the future, but you can do it. You can do past pardons for all crimes. And that's what Joe Biden just did for Hunter Biden. And that's what, like I said, the only other time this has been used is Richard Nixon. The Supreme Court has said, and this has been to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said you can pardon someone blanket for anything. You just can't do it into the future. You can.
What ruling was that?
It was after Nixon. I don't know the name of the case though, but Supreme Court already ruled on this. The president does have the power to broadly. He does not have to specify crimes. It just can't be into the future. You can't say someone's pardoned for future crimes. That's why the date range on Hunter Biden's pardon is January 1st, 2014
good.
to
Finally, we got a
December 1st.
link for today's show.
So that's the problem, is that, to me, the problem that is that you're saying not, because here's the thing. I think that he knows Hunter Biden did other crimes. I don't think that this is gonna, and he knows that Republicans are gonna go after Hunter Biden. You're right, for political reasons. And his other family members. I mean, I won't be surprised if we see one for his brother. I wouldn't be surprised. None of this would surprise
his brother.
No, his alive brother.
What?
Isn't his brother still alive?
Bo's dead.
No, that's his son. I'm talking about Joe Biden's brother.
Joe's brother.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
And because he's another one that's made a bunch of money off of kind of, I think, corrupt kind of stuff. And I just, look, I don't like any of that stuff. And I think we should weed it out. And I don't like it. And I don't like it on both sides. Like I said, I'll call out Jared Kushner's things, but I will put the caveat that, like, it at least happened after Trump left office. Now, Trump's going to be back in office, and I don't love that. But I also see Jared Kushner not really being involved with this administration. It seems like he and Ivanka are just kind of not
Ivanka,
going to deal with it.
And I think he is, because he's being told by Ivanka 100%.
Yeah, I think that they've realized it's more damaging than helpful at this point. So but my problem is, Hunter Biden did illegal things. He got charged with them. He foolishly decided he was going to fight the charges instead of just not. Which is pretty foolish when you're dealing with the federal government anyway, because they've got something like a 98% conviction rate. Yeah, they don't bring cases unless they think they can win them. This is not like your local DA. And so I think he lied to the American people. He said he wasn't going to do something that he did, and you're just going to write it off as politics. But the truth is, Joe Biden cares about himself and no one else. He doesn't care about his party. He doesn't care about the country. He doesn't care about any of this stuff. Or his actions would be different. He would have stepped down earlier. He wouldn't have run again. He wouldn't pardon his son. He wouldn't excuse his son's terrible behavior.
How did Kamala do
in the election? She lost.
How'd she do?
How'd she do? She had a 6% drop off in Democrats showing up and voting for it. That's pretty bad.
You think he didn't know that?
No, I don't think. I think he would have done worse.
A vice president with one of the worst approval ratings in vice presidential history was going to do better than he did.
Oh, I think she did do better than he would have. I think that he was. Look, if the polls were right directionally, he would have lost by a bigger margin than she did. There's still a close race. It would not have been a close race.
There's only one poll that matters.
Right, but we can't.
He never got to take part in.
Right, but we can't do that because we don't have that. My point is, if you go back to June, it's a 6-point gap between him and Kamala. So after the debate and in the lead up to him dropping out and her picking up, he was 6 points further behind than she ended up being in the and I'm talking about in the polls. I'm not talking about in the actual voting. I'm talking about if you look at the polls, which if they're right directionally, it would put him 6 points behind, which means he would have lost the race by. I mean, he would have maybe lost like 10 more states or something like that. It would have been pretty bad.
I doubt that.
Well, I mean, if he ran 6 points behind, he would have.
As usual, we got off the first topic and hit about 5 others. And I got to take a break because Jane's waiting. And I got both sides now coming up next, and you got to go anyway. And I got to let the dogs out. So I got a list of stuff to do. 99.1 WDJY. Thanks as always and this is going to be today's Pierre's Pot. A toast in the direction of Blake Fisher.
That way we don't have to talk about it Friday.
The host of The Homeless Conservative. And he puts out at least one video a week. Go to thehomelessconservative.com and anywhere else you get podcasts and videos and so on, except Yerg's Radio.
No, I think we can get it on there. I think I've gotten them down consistently under an hour. So
good enough now? Okay. All right. Well, you going to do it live or just like send me after the fact like Matt does?
Probably after the fact, because that's how I'm still doing stuff for the most part. But I'm maybe changing it up at the start of the year. We'll see.
All right. All right, man. I'll see you. Pizza on Friday. Don't forget.
Let's do it. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Tom. All right. See you again. All right. 99.1 WDJY. and America One Radio and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. When we come back, Jane Stahl and Both Sides Now. We'll be back after these words. Smell nasty. Do you want to freshen it up a little bit? Go to aromabypeter.com. Check out all of Peter's candles. It's what we burn here in Studio Yerg's. I'm burning right now leather scented candle. That's right, leather scented. So go to aromabypeter.com/Yerg's and check out his candles today.
I'm Jane Stahl, retired English teacher, and with my BFF, Susan Bebeck, we manage Studio B Fine Art Gallery in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. We showcase the art of hundreds of local artists, publish books of the poetry, prose, and art of local writers, offer classes, art parties, workshops, discussion groups, cater dinners. We've even hosted a wedding. And we're here to be the go-to place for friendship, learning, and fun in our community. Virtual tours of our exhibits are available right here on Yerg's Radio. Let us introduce you to some amazing art and artists.
Check out Jane Stahl and everyone at Studio B in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Please visit our YouTube channel, Talk TV 24. How's your website doing? I'll tell you how mine's doing. It's awesome. Yergs.com is gotta be the best website for anybody in podcasting or any sort of broadcast solo journalist like me. How did I get that? Limit Break Digital. Limit Break Digital did my website with Yergs.com. They did YergerGroup.com. They take care of my marketing, my branding, and help me get the message out to you. Go to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs for 10% off your next project. That's a $3,000 site, Yergs.com. And you can get 10% off that by just going to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs today. Talk to Jay. That's my guy. We all got a guy, and Jay's mine. limitbreakdigital.com. Hey gang, it's Yergs. Right now, our country is about to embark on yet another controversial presidential election. I have an actual question, legitimate question, as a political scientist and historian by education. If you are a Trump supporter, I want to hear from you. I want to know what your appeal to Donald Trump is at this time. Please email me news, N-E-W-Z, at yergs.com. News, N-E-W-Z, at yergz.com. Thanks. Participants must be willing to provide their contact information, answer a series of questions, and then have their first name broadcast over the radio and social media relevant to Up the Middle. All right, gang, we're back. Some issues with chatter. I don't know what's going on with it, but it wouldn't. We got kicked off the desktop version, and I'm realizing I've got a lot of things running in the background on my phone, so I'm clearing that out. Yeah, Blake's a bright dude, and I love arguing with him because he keeps me sharp, but he's real good at changing the topic, and he's real good about when I bring up a whataboutism, making it look like it's irrelevant, or at least so he says. And then, he does the same thing, with like the Kushners and so on and whatever else. Anyway, it is now 12:03. We are, oh, you know what? We still have WDJY today. That's right. I'm not seeing the alert that we lost them. It's because we didn't. WDJY is 2 hours with us on Mondays. So they're going to also be covering Both Sides Now, which is up next. Let's do that and bring out Jane, as soon as I find my cursor. Kind of one of the difficulties of having four screens. There we go. Hello, happy Monday.
as well.
You get a
Yes.
little taste of the Friday show there.
I know. Oh my God, I wanted to yell at him. Thank you for not bringing me on. It would have been
Yeah,
embarrassing.
yeah.
I mean, God love him. He's so young. Yeah. So
He
bright he may be,
he's in his 30s, I think.
like I said.
Maybe, yeah, you and me.
We're not.
I mean, I think about that when my parents were my age.
Hmm.
I was 33 and on my second assignment in the Secret Service. You know, I was starting in San Francisco.
Hmm.
And well, to go back and do so many other things.
Yeah, and at that
But
point, I was just with two little kids. What can I say?
yeah,
Teaching school and
Aus-
running after two little kids. So
Austin
pretty,
is
yeah.
hearing the same thing. You know, what about isms and red
Anyways,
herring and
so I wanted to start the show today by just
yep.
saying, way to go, Joe. I mean, listening
I
to
was wondering,
breaking
'cause
news yesterday, and realizing that this dad ended up doing what he did and pardoning his son just brought me to tears. I just need to say, I think I was
yeah.
agonizing along with him as a fellow parent about what he was facing in terms of his son. And, one of the pundits that was on, was saying, well, this is not a good look and whatnot. But you know what? I'd have done the same thing. You'd have done the same thing. And I'm hopeful that even people like your friend who was just on here will somehow, someday understand why that was just the
Well,
right thing to
that's how
do.
we got talking about Nixon. Was I made the reference that when Ford first pardoned Nixon, he really took that on the chin. As
Absolutely.
how could you pardon this criminal? And he's like, no, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
I'm not running for reelection anyway. Bitch at me all you want. He's done. This is over, and it's time for the country to heal.
Yep.
Same thing here.
But when you think about it, and
he actually contradicted himself. He's saying, he's only doing this because he's the president, and he's only doing it because it's his son. But then he goes on to say about he's pardoned him for all things in the future as well, that could be brought forward in the future that he's already done, which I didn't think he could do. But I looked it up. He's right. The Supreme Court did make that decision. And you can find it in the show notes later on by going to, we'll put that up right now. There we go. Yergis.com and mastiff.media, show notes and other info. But wouldn't you do that? He's saying he wanted to see Biden pardon Trump for the things that he had done. And I think I was trying to make the argument that I think if they're not guilty, like if they say, oh, I'm not guilty, like somebody being pardoned cannot accept it. And that's what I think I still need to look up. But yeah, I want to go back and watch today's episode with him in preparation for Friday, because I saw, and that's where he's better than I am, in that he's better in the spur of the moment with facts. I'm better at being a wise ass, but that doesn't really always win you the argument, especially when you're trying not to be just a wise ass. And I don't mind losing an argument, like the thing about the Supreme Court ruling. Okay. But you can't tell me that if we've both agreed, which we did, that this isn't a great look, pardoning your son, that it's Trump can't bring it back up. Because if he does, we will all have been right that Trump just brings up stupid shit for purposes of deflecting from real issues. And yeah, anyway, I agree. Pardon him and just rip the Band-Aid off.
Mhm.
And now this is done.
Now, one of the pundits said yesterday also that had he been an advisor of Biden, he would have not given the rationale for his decision. He would have just said, hey, I'm the president and I'm pardoning my son. End of story.
Yeah.
Instead
And
of
that's another
going
thing.
into why. But I wanted him to go into why.
Yeah.
What is your thought on that? Do you have an opinion about that?
Well, I mean, first of all, is the other thing that's staring us blindly in the face. You just said if this would be even more different if Hunter was an advisor to his dad. That's the difference. Joe Biden picks qualified people from all around the government and from all walks of life. Donald Trump picks who he knows. Like, for example, his brother-in-law, a fellow convicted felon, to go be an ambassador to France.
It's just crazy. It's crazy.
And why didn't that pardon get the scrutiny that this one's getting? You know which one I'm talking about, right? Jared Kushner's dad. Jared Kushner's dad.
Oh, yes. His, yes.
It has a big, Kushner and Beth Kushner something.
Yes.
Is a big real estate company.
Yeah.
He had campaign finance violations. And to save his own ass, his other brother-in-law, his wife's brother.
Yeah, that's who I thought you were talking about, and I got confused. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to talk and was talking. And so to bribe him, Kushner's dad hires a stripper or prostitute or, some female bait and videotapes the encounter and sends it to his sister. That's how much he loves his own sister.
These people,
he in turn gets busted for witness tampering.
Yep.
Goes to jail. And now gets a pardon for that. Right before being sent off to France. Says about, he's a dad and a brother and a husband and a grandfather. Never said that 3 of those grandchildren are also his.
Mm-hmm. Well, MAGA, I guess, figures that Biden's pardoning of his son Hunter is equal to pardoning all the folks who participated in January 6th who are now in jail. So they figure that's
I can't wait for that one.
I heard that this morning. Haven't heard much about it, but that's not a surprise. That's what I figured. That's where I figured they would go with that. I don't.
You're talking about a guy who's a drug addict.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Parents, particularly parents of children who have been in active addiction and going through recovery. I mean, you cannot not empathize with what he did and also say, good way to go, Joe. So that's my stance and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Even if that's the deal.
I mean,
that's one.
When you look at the charges themselves, I mean, that's really important. I mean, it's not like the gun he had purchased was used in another crime. Okay? It was not like the gun he purchased was used in a crime that he committed in some kind of way, or anybody else for that matter. And as far as the tax stuff, I mean, let's look at let's look at the Trump organization and their taxes and their
Well,
frauds,
yeah,
and all
exactly.
the federal charges against this guy are evaporated. And I think of Mitch
It's about
McConnell.
consistency, and that's because Blake is good at talking and not letting anybody else have the microphone. It's one of the points I wanted to make was that it's about consistency.
Mm.
You're charging Hunter Biden because you're going after somebody who didn't pay millions in taxes. I promise you, there's a long list of other millionaire and billionaires who did not pay millions in taxes. And I'm not talking about the legal loopholes that shouldn't be there either. I'm talking about just one example was the one I gave about the dinner. I know people that do that I've done it. Let's talk about Yerg's radio. Okay, I get to write this off. And of course I never do. But that conversation makes it a business dinner. No, it doesn't. You have to have that scheduled on your work calendar as a business dinner. It has to be somebody that you're documented doing or trying to do business with for it to be a business dinner.
Good to know.
And I don't care that people have used that to get ahead or to get caught up. But if you're going to prosecute me for it, there are a long list of other small businesses that need to as well.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing with Hunter Biden. Yes, he was wrong.
Mhm.
But no, he's not alone in that
Mhm.
at all.
And prosecuting him, sending him to jail, simply because, as Biden said himself, it was a political game or something like that. I forget what
Yeah,
wording he used
100%.
exactly. I mean, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. But because he
Jim
was the
Jordan,
president's son and you wanted
Mike
to
Johnson.
humiliate and shame the whole president and his
Yeah.
president and his family, it's just wrong. And I'm
If
hopeful.
Jim Jordan and all those people that have been looking into that in Congress really wanted to go after somebody like that, they could go after their own donors.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. Yep. I mean, I don't have a lot of love right now for who we are as a country in re-electing Donald Trump, but I do hold on to the hope that we as a country and as a people understand what Joe did and are just relieved for the family that he finally ended up doing so. Never mind the changing of heart. Never mind. Anyway, so the other thing we wanted to talk about today was your essay that
Yeah.
you submitted to the Boyertown Area Expression. And I really loved it. And I thought you brought up some really interesting points. And I'm wondering if you're interested in sharing it with our listeners today.
Sure. I actually did some of it last week as they were coming to the top of my head, but obviously that was not the complete and also the much less refined version. Frankly, I needed just something to talk about. Do you want me to actually? I think I can find it and pull it up if you want me to share screens.
I just want you to have, I just want you to share it with our listeners in as much as I loved it, but for the Boyertown Area Expression, where we really do try to, stay on what we have determined is positive talk in a negative world. And we need to really stay out of the political arena simply for personal reasons that I won't go into today. But we didn't feel that it was a good decision to get real political on our news site. And yet I want folks to appreciate or to have an opportunity to experience your essay. So you've got it up there for us. That's great.
Oh, there we go.
Good.
There we are. Yeah, let me get rid of that.
So why don't you pretend you're doing a rant? You're just doing a
So I
rant
was
and
trying
share
to
it
get
with
rid
us.
of I thought I did. I was trying to get rid of your and my corrections and edits. I think that's no color. There we go. Save it that way. That way they're not seeing all kinds of. There we go. All right.
All right, here you go, Ross.
So, oh no, wait. Why did that happen? I'm in the bigger. Oh, it's doing the screen. It's not doing the. Okay. I just made it like my whole big screen. There we are. All right. Well, happy belated Thanksgiving and happy holidays. I throw that in a lot because it's off the far right conservatives. Instead of saying Merry Christmas, I throw the happy holidays in there in general. For the record, for me to write for my hometown's digital newspaper about something that is not political is a challenge because I am political. Hello. My show is called Up the Middle in an attempt to stay politically neutral or fair to both sides. Then there's my political science degree and my American history degree. I mean, it's a history degree, but with a big focus on American history and politics. All of that is followed by 21 years in the Secret Service. I mean, how am I not political? So today is going to be a little bit of satire. I got to move the cursor over here. There we go. We're not going to be blatantly political. However, unless this is your first day on planet Earth, or you live under a rock and you're comfortable there, you will be able to differentiate between something that's not political and something that just might be. So while so many are telling about their stories of thankfulness from past life experiences or other inspirations of wisdom, remember that when it comes to my writing ability, I spent 21 plus years, 21 years federally, a 22-year law enforcement career, including the year that I spent in the police department at North Coventry Township Police in Pennsylvania. I spent writing for an audience not smart enough to get out of jury duty. So forget color, the flair, the poetic license, especially the poetic license, which is not allowed in law enforcement reports. There's no embellishing in law enforcement reports. My submission will probably read more like a surveillance report, itemized by bullet points, one action after the other, then it will like a paragraph-laden essay or op-ed or white paper. So here it goes. The biggest thing that I am thankful for, ever since and have been treated for PTSD, anxiety, depression, and probably even ADHD, the biggest thing that I'm thankful for is comedic relief. Sometimes just simple irony will do. Other times, something just so bizarre, where to laugh at it is the only thing you can do and still appear normal. Like Jewish space lasers. So things that no satire there. That's a real thing.
I love that.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. So things that I'm thankful for that strike me as funny follow. When society looks up to someone as their representative, not their candidate, little sarcasm there, not their candidate, their representative for family values. Someone who's been divorced 3 times. Yes, you read that right. 3. Think about it. I know that you want to.
I love that line.
And what I'm saying there is technically he's only been divorced twice from Marla Maples and not Ivanka. We talked about that in the other one. We couldn't think of her name. His first Eastern European, Donald Trump's first wife. Can you think of it?
Ivana.
Ivana. Yeah. Not Ivanka.
Ivana.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe, it's my opinion, that with the living arrangements that they've had, that he's on some level divorced from Melania as well.
At some level, yes.
Yeah. So that's why I say 3. When society looks up to a person as their beacon for intelligent business decisions, yet that beacon has had daddy bail him out from going bankrupt 6 times. When you look up to a person or role model for their experience in international business, yet that international business really only consists of Miss Argentina, Miss Colombia, Miss Sweden, or Miss Australia. When one role model or inspiration has dedicated his entire life to public service, and that role model is thrown to the side at the end of his career because he's, quote, too old to continue, yet your role model is just as old as the first one, but with only a small fraction of the experience, none of which was nearly as successful as the first role model. When your role model sets up for failure with unrealistic goals and uses somebody else's failures as an excuse to do it, then you stand there believing him when he tells you how great he is. When your role model complains about others and their sporadic assistance to family members on professional levels, yet your role model fills his staff with unqualified family members, one of whom he claims to not know that well, just see him around the White House, or just around the house, White House, once in a while.
Sneaked it in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was with Jared when
Yes.
there was the whole big deal about him not being able to get a security clearance.
Mhm.
And he said, I don't know the guy. Dude, it's your son-in-law.
I don't really know him.
I'm thankful for the comedy provided when actual industry experts who spend their lives being either impartial or creating spin in favor of your role model come to you and say, get away from this guy. Run. And yet you don't, claiming to know better than they do. Okay. I'm thankful for the henchmen and cronies who follow your role model like hungry puppy dogs who haven't been fed in a week, yet think this role model is their best chance for food.
I love that.
I'm thankful for the goofy things these cronies say in a serious tone. Yet these things have to actually be said or done for anybody to think of them in the first place. You can't make this stuff up. Of course, I write that as I'm only saying another S word. But I mean, it's just stuff that's so crazy that these people normalize.
Mhm.
I'm thankful for that role model that's here to lead us in one direction, yet you follow him in another. Red, white, and blue clothing, golden sneakers. And I think only Philly people are going to get this joke, but golden sneakers. Really? You tried to sell golden slippers in Philadelphia
Slippers.
in
I
the
love
same
that.
section of the city that hosts the Mummers Parade. For those of you not from the Philadelphia area who don't know what a mummer is, just Google mummer, M-U-M-M-E-R, golden slippers. And then you'll get that joke. Because that happened at the Philadelphia Convention Center right on Market Street. I'm thankful for the inspiration that he provides so that all of you who spend your days telling others about how pro-life you are can pull your family together for a family photo, for Christmas, no less, carrying assault weapons. With some of the people in the photo legally too young to carry assault weapons. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that none of these people are me. Amen and happy holidays. There's the last happy
I had a
holidays.
good time writing that.
Yeah. I wanted it to be a little longer because I know there probably are things that I could have used. And I'm just like, I thinking that I was actually going to convince you and Leslie to publish it. Me being the optimist that I am. And I kind of
we'll
knew
get
that
it.
there's no way she's going to do this.
Yeah. I
There's no
tell you
way.
what, both of us, I mean, the personal reason aside that I alluded to, that I really don't want to share because it's not my
Uh,
business to share it, but personal reason aside, I'm just so weary of political arguments about listening to people who want to come back at me with reasons why what I wrote or what my opinion is doesn't matter or isn't true, just like your former guest on this station. I'm just tired of them. I mean,
yeah.
so I have to hide for a while till I get my energy back in or something. But that's still another reason why I just didn't want to start up a whole political discourse on the expression from some people I know who are out there. And I wasn't so much
Yeah,
bothered by their being offended. I just didn't want to hear from them. Okay. So
I was
that's where I
going to
am
ask,
today.
did you see my rebuttal to the one lady's comment on, I think, Doug's
I
story?
did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, what did
I
you think of
did.
that?
Yeah, I did. I did. And I was delighted that other folks wrote rebuttals in as well, and I finally got
Really?
around to writing mine yesterday. Yeah. There are a bunch of them.
I mean, directly under her comment?
Yes. There are about
Oh,
5 or
wow.
6 of
I
them.
got to go back and
There
look
are
at that.
5 or 6 of them. A number of people, which gives me hope to some degree that I'm not alone out there in the world being disappointed and frustrated at where we seem to be right now as a country. Now, I had shared with you also a column that I found particularly biting. I had sent it to you. I think
Oh,
the edges were cut off or something like
yeah,
that. And I was
yeah,
wondering if, like Mika on MSNBC, if I could just kind of share this particular piece
yeah.
from this
Do
guy.
you want to share your screen, or do you have
He
it some
is
other way?
Aaron W. Huey and it was printed in the Bowling Green Daily News on Sunday, November the 17th. But if you don't mind, I'd like to share it.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. The headline is Trump's win shows us who we really are. And it starts this way. I'd like to congratulate Donald J. Trump on his historic win with a couple of weeks ago. Those of you who have read some of my previous columns might find that a little surprising, but I mean it sincerely. Trump's triumph over Harris has given us a window into the soul of America that probably would have remained hidden had the election gone a different way. In a very real and unambiguous manner, Trump has laid bare who we really are. His campaign and the response to it has helped to clarify what many Americans currently value and how their perspective has evolved over the last couple of generations. Seriously, we owe him a debt of gratitude for making it perfectly transparent what is and what is not important to most Americans these days. Before November 5th, for example, many of us who were under the impression human kindness was a quality that defined our society. Indeed, the idea we should care deeply about the plight of our neighbors was something many thought was synonymous with being an American. Thanks to Trump, we now know most of us are selfish and self-centered, more concerned with our own well-being than those around us. Oh, and not just individually. Countries that have looked to the United States since the end of World War II can no longer count on us to be there when threatened by empire-building, murderous tyrants. It's also abundantly clear character doesn't matter anymore. Certainly not in the way many of us thought it did once upon a time. My parents and grandparents instilled in me the importance of always telling the truth, of living with integrity. Evidently, their old-fashioned notions are grossly out of step with what most Americans now believe. Growing up, I remember getting into trouble for making fun of those who were less fortunate or calling people unflattering names based on personal characteristics they had no control over. If my mother caught me laughing at someone with a disability, I would not have been able to sit down for a couple of days. Perhaps, if Trump had been around when I was younger, he could have let my mother know it was okay to denigrate and disparage those who are different. In a similar vein, Trump should also be commended for reminding us that racism, xenophobia, and misogyny are alive and well in many households, and Martin Luther King's Junior's dream that one day we will judge people primarily by the content of their character remains an elusive aspiration. Like many Americans prior to Trump's win, I honestly believed most Americans weren't fans of vulgarity, profanity, and disgusting language, but Trump set the record straight on that. Apparently, a lot of Christians are completely fine with all kinds of boorish behavior. In my 8th grade social studies class, Mr. Sparks told us all Americans are equal before the law. You've probably heard that rumor too. But as Trump demonstrated conclusively, some Americans can break the law repeatedly, committing crimes that would lead most of us behind bars and suffer and Trump let us know we don't have to suffer any consequences. Furthermore, having a criminal record is now something many Americans celebrate and even cheer. Kudos to Trump. Which brings us to those infamous 10 Commandments we've been hearing about for most of our lives. In Sunday school, I was told it was a big deal to violate any of them. As Trump has shown, however, most Americans don't really care about God's laws. The fact that some of them care about God's laws, the fact that some want them plastered everywhere, notwithstanding. Finally, prior to the election, I bet many readers saw America as a shining city on a hill, as Ronald Reagan so eloquently put it a few years ago. Now we know that's not the case. We are just as susceptible to being seduced by a corrupt, power-hungry, narcissistic, wannabe dictator as any other third world country. Again, congratulations to Trump for exposing the cold, hard truth about who we are. There is no American exceptionalism. We are not immune from evil, anti-democratic authoritarian leaders with fascist tendencies. So let's stop pretending we're something we're not. I think he did a marvelous job of putting together what is behind my great sadness over the most recent election. Thank you for letting me share. You're on mute, you know.
Yeah. I actually stepped away to check on the dogs outside.
Well, good for you.
And so I took my phone with me and was listening to that. Well, I didn't want to cause the loop. So I muted it.
I understand. Anyway.
But right before that, up until Shady came trotting in, it was just her. And it was like looking like, Dad, you should come see this.
Uh-oh.
And so I ran out, and there's Moby Matrix rather, just lying by the son and the door and just minding his own business. So I'm like, okay, everything's fine. Back to it. But I took my phone with me, and I have Jurg's radio on. Just now it's volume's all the way down. But I could tell, she's wrapping up and she's looking for me and I'm not there, which didn't happen.
Well, we have to survive somehow. This constant, what do you say, being on the air kind of thing. It must be a real challenge, when the dogs call or when your own body calls. I mean, what do I do now?
Yeah. We've gone to commercial.
Slip into commercial.
An emergency on occasion. But no, Monday is 2 hours. And I don't know, for whatever reason, the 2 hour show on Friday, they never seem to have an issue. But usually at the end of today's show, I'll go around the house somewhere and I'll see a puddle of puppy pee because she didn't make it through the whole 2 hours. Even though we go out at like 10:30 before the 11 o'clock hour starts.
Yeah.
And but no, now the door's open and she's been in and out, and I think she's not even back in here. So
yeah, it's hard to keep track of them sometimes. Yep.
Oh, especially her. She's fast now too. She's not little puppy speed anymore.
So and I noticed, I thank you for adding a adding to my Google Calendar your flight.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah. So I'll know what to plan and when to plan it. So
Yeah. The Thursdays early. The flight is at
yes.
6 o'clock. I
Yeah.
hated those
Yeah, that's going to be
whenever I had
that's
work.
going to be a bugger.
Uh,
Yeah.
and when I was on the West Coast, especially, they were always first thing in the morning. You couldn't get anything later because you would be getting there. And usually, if we were like going from LA to Atlanta or whatever, somewhere in the East, we'd be traveling that day. And soon after we landed, we'd have to get whatever taxi and get our bags and get to a hotel where there was soon going to be our briefing. So
Ah.
you couldn't get a later flight and get in at 10 o'clock at night and work the
Right.
next day.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you were getting the
Right.
briefing, you know, the night before because you're working the next morning.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right. Right.
that always sucked. Coming from LA, that always sucked. In San Francisco.
Things we don't miss about our previous lifetimes, right?
Yeah, you know what? I was saying that towards the end of my career was all the things that were attractive to me about the job, traveling, that it was not a 9 to 5 job,
Mhm.
that there were
And there
calls
was
in the middle of
something
the
new
evening.
every day. Yep.
Yeah. There's all the things I dreaded at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need you to work an afternoon shift at the vice president's son's house. I want to go to the gym. I got groceries to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got work at the office.
Yeah.
I don't want to go sit in the living room.
Yeah.
It was at his residence. He was in a duplex, a 4-unit apartment building with 2 in the ground and 2 in the upper level.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his girlfriend had the upper level unit, and then we had the one directly below him. We rented that
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
had the one directly below him. That was our security room. That's where we just hung out while he was home. And then the one on the ground level across from us, diagonal to him, was a huge complainer. That guy would bitch about everything we did. And eventually he just moved out. He was just gone one day. So we grabbed that one too. And that was like kind of like a hotel room for the detail leader.
Mm-hmm.
The out of town boss was in with the son who lived there. Then that person would stay in that apartment, and they were always on site in case of an emergency or huge schedule change. So we, including our protectee, we occupied 3 out of the 4 units in the building. And then there were times I'd have to go, work, help support the shift. And so we'd get like rest security, being the guy that would stay back after they left to make sure everything was still safe, or an extra post stander, extra shift agent, limo driver, whatever. But yeah, it was never just 9 to 5. It was always day shift starts at 5 o'clock. It's 5 to 1. And then the afternoon is actually 1 p.m. to whatever it is, 1 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of work a
Right.
little later to give the midnighters,
Yep.
a little extra time at home. And yeah, so
Memories, huh?
I don't miss any of it.
How about that?
Yeah, I
So-
lost a bunch in the flood here. I lost a bunch of like sweatshirts and stuff from Secret Service. And I'm like, do I want to call headquarters and try and order some to replace them? Or do I care?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm proud of what I've done,
Yeah, you should be. Yeah.
but I don't regret, growing my hair out. I don't look like a Secret Service agent anymore.
Hey,
Not
speaking
sure.
of long hair, Jeff came to me the other day and said he had the perfect gift idea for his dad for Christmas. He's going to box up his hair. He'll get a haircut and box up his long hair for his father for Christmas. I don't think he will part with it, but I thought it was a cute idea.
Well, he can just find one of those Tony Little caps.
Mm,
You know who that is?
yeah.
Tony Little's the fitness guru that did that swing thing, made
Yeah.
that famous. He's actually like mostly bald, from what I understand.
Yeah.
He's always wearing a baseball cap with a ponytail on it. The ponytail's fake.
Yeah.
From what I've never seen the guy, I never met him, but from what I understand, the ponytail's fake. It's just the long hair represents the long hair he used to have.
Hmm.
And that's like his thing now. He's got the baseball hat with the ponytail, which is why I hate wearing a baseball hat with my long
Yeah.
hair, because I look like Tony Little.
Yeah. Anyway, so do you gift at Christmas? Do you have any fun ideas?
We're all told by mom not to. But my baby brother, the youngest of my two younger brothers, is the worst. He comes from a dual income. His wife also has a government job and makes good money. He's a vice president at a big construction company. He makes good money, so they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
So they do it anyway. I'm now better financially again. Mom doesn't listen to this episode, but I'm probably going to get everybody like. I'm probably going to get everybody like gift certificates for their favorite restaurant. Especially if I can find them online. I'll get one for my brother who lives in Virginia.
Yeah.
And my younger brother who lives at the bottom of mom and dad's driveway. I think he's like someplace in like 562 or like what used to be not Greshville. Earlville.
Okay.
Is Earlville Tavern up
Do you know what?
562?
I know 562. I don't know what it's called these days. It keeps changing names, so I don't know. You mean the
Yeah, the
hotel? What
last
used
I
to be the
remember-
hotel at what used to be
The
the
one
hotel?
that used to have the post office. Yeah, the one that
Yeah.
had the post office and the one
Yeah, I
end of
don't
it.
know what it's
Yep.
called. I don't know what it's called these days. Yeah.
The
went there
last one I
once for
remember
one
was
of our-
Deacon's Pub.
Yeah. Might be.
Deacon's
I
Pub
haven't
is what I
paid
remember.
attention. I haven't paid attention. We went there once.
Austin's checking in. He says, Jane, I understand. I don't typically comment on politics in my name as well. Not my brand or business. Protect your energy. Find your personal peace, but never back down from your personal values. Yeah.
Who's that from? Do we know?
That's my buddy Austin.
Okay.
That's part of your legacy. Go ahead and get the replace. Oh, he's talking about my Secret Service stuff. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do it now, but I'm going to regret not doing it later. So,
Well, thank you, Austin. I
Austin
really
is,
appreciate your very gracious comment. Thank you very much.
he's somebody that I met through a Tuesday, Thursday group that I used to take part in on Clubhouse. It's a social audio platform. And the guy that ran it taught about like being on radio and podcasting and social media and things like that. And he was kind of a mentor to me for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Also former law enforcement now. And he's the one that really suggested to me about terrestrial radio. And we had a political falling out. He's a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And had a double standard. He allowed one guy to make some joke about the Biden administration and FEMA. And then when I tried to step in and say, that's not true, and essentially wave the bullshit flag, I got shut down.
No kidding.
I said, wait a minute, I just lost everything from this storm. And FEMA, unlike the Republican state of Florida, was here to help.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want to hear that. So I said, okay,
Right.
F you.
Yeah.
I haven't been back to that room since.
That's too bad. But it happens. As I told you, my own Thanksgiving, I violated an edict I gave my very own husband that he was not permitted to talk politics at Thanksgiving, but I ended up when my brother asked me why I wasn't speaking to one of my cousins, I ended up sharing with him the meme that I shared with you a number of
Yeah.
sessions ago. Mommy, the meme is an old-fashioned mom and daughter in the kitchen. And mommy's fixing dinner, and the little girl's sitting at the table, and she asks her mother, "Mommy, why aren't we going to church?" And mommy says, "Well, dear, it's because the pastor voted for a rapist."
Yeah.
And that particular meme, really spoke to me. So I shared it with my brother at Thanksgiving, even though I know that while he and I see things pretty similarly, not 100% by any means, but while he and I see things pretty much the same, his wife is, I probably would guess she's a good Catholic, and I would guess one of the Christian nationalists responds to that rhetoric and those opinions as the Christian nationalists do. And I'm pretty sure she probably voted for Trump. So anyway, as I said to them at the table, I have told my people that I have to work with and that I have to associate with as a result of all the projects I'm involved here in Boyertown. Just don't tell me you are for Trump, because I will have to lose the relationship and I will lose my respect for you. So, do us all a favor
there's
and let's just
only
keep politics out of everything. So,
there's only a handful of known Trump supporters that I still associate with on any level. And it's both my brothers and their families and my next door neighbors.
that must be hard.
After that, and I really like my next door neighbors. I do.
I know. Yeah.
And my own brothers, of course. I don't get any of the support they give. None of it makes any sense for the reasons we just spent today's whole show discussing. And it just makes me go back to two clips that I took out of episodes from last summer, as in like 2023. One was about doing your homework. And my favorite one, doing your homework, it said, you no longer have to spell Google or have to be able to spell Google to be able to use it.
Right.
Because you remember the good old days of Google when it was the only search engine. You actually had to go to google.com. If you couldn't spell Google, you're screwed. Now, for many of the browsers, it's the default search engine. So you just use it anyway. But then the other thing was, I said, you can be a conservative, you can be a Republican, and we're still on terrestrial radio, so, and I'll just paraphrase, and not be an a-hole.
Yep.
And, with Trump, just say, you know what? Our team is in a development year. We're young, we're inexperienced, and we're not going to the playoffs. Let's have a good season. Let's come back next year, 2028, or maybe 2024 without Trump. And what sucks is that they doubled down, they dug their heels in, and it worked. Like, this was not the Miracle on Ice team that I'd hoped, referring to the 1980 Olympic hockey team that was young and inexperienced and won the gold. Because what this is not gold, except the slippers. Even that's not real gold.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interesting future. It just is. Paul was talking the other day about, he heard about a cruise line that maybe costs maybe $250,000 to take you on cruise for the next 4 years. That sounds like a plan. Talking about escape.
Yeah. Does it
So,
land at Mar-a-Lago at all?
I have no idea. But I'm
Bad
thinking it's
destination.
around the world. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There is something like that actually.
Mm-hmm.
I forget how much it costs, but it's a boatload,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a 6 or 8 month or longer cruise, literally around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wow, that's a stamped up passport.
That would be an amazing experience. Anyway,
Yeah.
so decorating for Christmas. I remember last year you lit up the outside of your house. That must be sad this year
Yeah,
to
I
think
don't
about.
have that. I don't have those outlets right now. So
Right.
I'm gonna call maybe get one of my favorite electrical companies in. Just kind of like I know my dad's gonna chew me out for it, but I'm like, dude, you're up in Pennsylvania. Yeah. We know he's not coming back down here until after Christmas. Well, I can't decorate then. It's not
Right.
gonna help.
Right.
So
Right.
oh well, mates. Matrix's GI issues are acting up today. I think we're gonna go for a real long walk and let them clean out. But yeah, I might call a company here. Quick plug for them, Mr. Sparky, and who did the electrical box in my office. Yeah, it was my office right after the hurricane in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
This house, I don't know who inspected it from the county, but the box, the electrical box, breaker box, was way overloaded. And just as an example, behind me, you see an empty spot for the refrigerator.
Yep.
The lights in the ceiling above it.
Yep.
There we go. Boy, how's a weatherman do this? The lights there, the outlet that's on the wall right there, the outlets that are on the ground, that one there is put in by my dad, and that one there is the one that the refrigerator was plugged into, as was the dishwasher. The lights, the outlets, the refrigerator, the dishwasher, the microwave behind me, and the outlets that are along that wall by the sink were all on one breaker.
Whoa. That's
And
heavily
you
laden.
know anything about electrics like that? Yeah. So the microwave itself is supposed to be on one breaker.
Yep.
As should be the refrigerator. Either the refrigerator or the dishwasher also supposed to be what's called home run, which means it's got its own line directly to the box. And they weren't. They were all on one. And so Dad, when he was here, when he and Mom were both here back in March, he split that up. He crawled up into the attic and ran the wire. The microwave is now by itself, and the other two appliances are split. You saw that one outlet in the wall that was to the left of the screen. That is a home run to the box. So now at least the three major appliances are split. Some of the outlets are still by themselves, but at least it's separated. They're all flood damaged because they were below the flood surface. There was 4 feet of water in here.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
that's amazing.
So I have to replace them. And I'm not a fan of doing stuff like that. Not the electric.
Oh no. That's
I mean, I know all the breakers.
Dangerous. Yep.
But
yeah,
I'll pay the money to have it done right. I was standing out front with two neighbors when a house about 4 blocks away got the electric turned back on prematurely. Within minutes, the entire house was engulfed in flames.
No kidding.
Yeah, we could see the flames from here 4 blocks away.
Wow.
And everybody says, oh, it's car batteries, like electric vehicles. And they were trying to, all the Republicans here were trying to blame it on electric vehicles. And they just said, no, that was my outlets.
Yep. Not doing it. Yep. Yep.
So
Well,
yeah.
we've got a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Is there anything from the previous week or week coming up that you want to mention to our listeners? I've got a pretty easy week coming up. We finished our Thanksgiving writers with the abortion, and we're reaching out once again to hopefully inspire writers to either send us their cookie or a little story about their favorite Christmas ornaments. And what I want to do is for the new year and ask people to share with me how they survive. Now, this may not apply to you in Tampa area, but I want to know in the more northern regions how you, January, February, cozy and warm, how you survive the cold, dark nights of winter.
I'm in long sleeves. I've got heaters running.
And it's
I've
what,
often told
60
I've often told
degrees?
people. That might be 62 might be the high. But
There you
you have
go.
a
There you
decently
go.
insulated house. I promise you, the inside gets lower than that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's 63 right now. High today is going to be 64.
Yeah.
It's definitely winter in Florida. But this is the state where you can run your heater in the evening, night, and morning, and the air conditioner in the afternoon.
No kidding.
That's not a joke.
We've abandoned our air conditioners for at least 6 months now, so we have to figure out a way to stay warm and stay cozy and comfortable and occupied when it's cold out there. So anyway, it's now 1:00. We've probably lost our connection.
Yeah, we did. I got the alert. We lost 99.1. We'll see. I'll look at them again tomorrow. I'm looking for text messages that I'm not getting. I'm supposed to have. Yesterday, I went out and bought a bed. No, actually, I bought a queen mattress and box spring, not a bed, for the guest room that I'm sleeping in right now, because the One Air mattress now has a hole in it. We discovered that the other night. Shady, who is not laying with her brother. Oh, there she is. Hey, lay down. Jumping on the air mattress behind me. She likes to run around, and when she does, she gets some speed. Like the throw rug, the area rug that's on the right behind me, will be halfway up the wall because it's she's pushed it as she made the turn. The air mattress that's in the spare bedroom, Zach's old room, has bounced off the wall more than once.
Yeah.
From her jumping on and off that. And this is still all just kind of a construction site. You saw right there.
Yep. Yep.
Where'd it go?
I can tell.
There we go.
Yep.
The walls behind me are still ripped apart. Well, the exterior wall in the bedrooms are block. So there's metal strips that are mason stone nailed into the block, and then there's the other nails sticking out from that used to hold the drywall. They're still there. We just ripped the drywall out.
Yep.
And those screws are still there. And so they're sharp edges.
Yeah.
That used to have carpet.
I know where you're going
So
here.
There's a wood band all the way around the floor still. There's nails sticking out all over the place.
Yep.
Well, that mattress now has a slow leak in it that I can't find. So I can't patch it. I don't have a patch anyway, but I'll get one because I don't want to lose a $60 air mattress.
Yeah.
That's otherwise in good shape.
Yeah.
And so that we woke up Sunday morning early, 1:00 in the morning. I'm in like a hammock. My waist is down. My feet are up in the air. My body's up in the air. I felt like I was in a hammock, in a tree.
Yeah.
That's how low the mattress was.
Yeah.
So I get them up.
I'm so glad you bought yourself a mattress. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm inside
Merry
anyway.
Christmas.
Get a mattress. Yeah, I should have done this 3 weeks ago. But Matrix, whenever I have to tell him to get up, I sometimes literally have to put my foot in his ass. I have to, give him a little kick and say, "Come on, let's go." Well, I couldn't do that in bed because he was
No.
kind of over in the corner of the bed and in the corner of the room and out of my reach. So I just plugged in the pump and turned it on.
Mhm.
Well, that sound and the
Yeah.
bed started,
Yeah. He
got
was
his
out
ass
of
out of
there in
bed,
a minute. Okay,
and
buddy.
he didn't want to come back in. Yeah.
I'll see you
So
next week, friend.
that's on my to-do list, is to get this get this mattress delivered and get that air mattress repaired, and just FEMA and a bunch of other things. So busy day.
Okay. Have a good day. Talk to you next
All
week.
right.
Bye.
Definitely. See you then.
Okay.
All right, everybody. That's going to be it. You can find Jane at studiobbb.org and contact her that way. You can get the rest of us, the politics for the rest of us, all of us. David Beckmeyer at outrageoverload.net. Philip Blackett at buyblackett.com/Yergs. Marcella, great room this past Friday night. You need to hire this lady and let her give you a rating. $25, I think, is the minimum for like 3 cards, and worth every penny. I promise you. Matt will be back on Friday. Pizza Friday this coming Friday. Matt at dailycryptonews.net and info@deemerforcongress.com. Blake is the Homeless Conservative. You can find him at thehomelessconservative.com. You can get all of us at news, NEWZ, at yergs.com. And any other information you can find at yergs.com and mastiff.media. Show notes where you can find us, where you can watch us, where you can listen, where you can do whatever. And any other info, hit us up there. All right, gang, that's it. I will see you again tomorrow. See, tomorrow is Tuesday. It's just me. And we'll see you then. Thanks for joining. We'll see you again.